From the Pixie Desk Studio in Minneapolis, Minnesota, welcome to the I See Hope Empowering Positive Change podcast. I am Lori Lorenz, Human Energy Engineer, and your host for today's episode, Destiny Updates with Wes Hamilton. We are talking about week 20 and relationships with freedom and responsibility during COVID-19. Our co-host and featured speaker today is Wes Hamilton, Master Numerologist and Chief Spiritual Officer for Core Passion, Inc. He provides insight, guidance, and spiritual support. He reveals how ancient mathematics connects to timelines, showing us where and when to focus our time and energy. Hello, Wes.
Hey, Laurie. Good to see you again. With our Zoomers, we're becoming Zoomers now, and we can actually see people. So I'm getting used to this thing. I'm doing more and more of my in-person work with people face to face on Zoom, it's kind of cool.
Yes, it takes sometimes a visual connection besides the auditory one to really create a relationship.
Yeah. Yep. And I think once digital comes up with a way that we can give each other a hug, I think we're getting closer. Yeah.
Well, it's that the pandemic hug is from a distance anyway, right?
Yeah.
The hug.
Yeah. And that's the piece that I think a lot of people are missing. I walk, the Muse and I walk through the neighborhood every day and put a couple of miles on watching the leaves come out and the flowers. And several times people are sitting in their driveways 6 to 8 feet apart, sipping coffee or having an adult beverage, and they're talking, but there isn't that robust energy on anyone.
Right. Well, in my family, in order to get a hug from afar, we cross our fingers. That's our symbol for a hug. And that way, adults don't get, toppled over by all the kids trying to give them a hug at once. Things like that.
Hey, all right. That's right up there with the digital hug, I guess.
Yes. So that's kind of what we're up to. And that's what we did before it was COVID-19.
Well, that's because you're a tech family. You understand that technology rules the world.
It's also, when people have social anxiety about public displays of affection, nobody else knows what the secret crossed fingers mean.
Oh, there's been a lot of secret societies with
all sorts of stuff. Well, this is for happiness.
Yeah, with showing where you are and who you're with without letting anybody know. Yeah.
Well, I have a secret I want to share. It's not a secret really, but I was looking for good news this morning.
Okay.
I was going, okay, I'm tired of the usual COVID-19 statistics. I want to see what people are doing to turn this thing around a little bit. And I ran across a YouTube podcast by John Krasinski, famous from The Office and voicing Disney movies like Rapunzel, things like that. And it's called Some Good News. He's a news anchor for his own network, and his kids made his SGN sign, and you can find all sorts of things like hashtag some good news. So if you have a story of good news, I bet he'd find it. And I'll put a link on the podcast blog page too, but it made me cry, all the good stories he found.
He's amazing. Yeah. I watched one a few weeks ago and he's got all excited. He said, "We have Brad Pitt coming on today with the weather forecast." So they switched to Brad, and I'm not even sure Brad even knew he was on there. He just looked out the window and says, "Yep, looks like a nice day." He does crazy stuff like that lightens our load. Yeah, and he's an amazing guy. He's got great energy. I love it when he stands up and he's not wearing anything, other than a tutu or something.
Surprise!
Yeah, he's got a suit on from the waist up.
Well, that's the typical, I'm guessing that would be one of the memes of the trend right now is the Zoom half versus bottom half,
That was a big note or announcement on Facebook this morning. I was cruising through that. It was, I think, 8 guys in their 30s walking down the street on their way to their Zoom office, suits, ties, and on the bottom they were wearing shorts and gym shoes. You know? So, yep, it's the new Zoomer.
Yes.
Look.
Well, they're almost to the point where all of us, you know, in the technology industry dress casual anyway. So sandals and shorts are pretty common when you run into a bunch of programmers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dang, now we're going to have to do something to be different. Maybe it's that rainbow tutu. We'll have to check it out.
Yeah, John is promoting that for for at
Not
least
everybody can pull it off as well as he can.
Yeah.
Oh, and another one I ran into when I was looking for good news, there's a feed called inspiremore.com.
Okay.
And all sorts of fun stories about how people are, you know, getting to support their neighbors or doing acts of kindness and so forth. It's everywhere if you just look for it.
Okay. Are those videos or news articles or
They're linked to all sorts of things.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Reddit, but in this case, it's Inspire More.
Okay.
And also, you know, I found John's link on the Obama Foundation website because they have all sorts, they have just one page of good news posts.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. I'll put that one on there too. I'll make a note.
Yeah, I didn't know about those. No.
And then, since we are in week 20, tell us all about what frequencies are helping us right now in week 20.
Well, week 20 is an interesting one because we've been in lockdown for so many weeks now, trying to stay healthy. And this particular week, week 20, is about relationships. We're in a 5-month, which says we want freedom. We want to get out. We want to hang out with our friends. We want to go to the games. We want to go to the restaurants. It's our time and we deserve it. And that's why we live in America. So that's all well and good. And I agree 100%. However, this month is about freedom and what is your responsibility now that you do have the freedom. So for me, I think, and the Muse and I, we talk about it. Are we going to go to a restaurant? No. Are we going to walk the neighborhood or through a park? Yes. Are we going to socialize with our friends? Not yet. We did have a breakthrough though. Marge is coming back to help us clean our house. So we're looking at responsibility, not only for staying healthy ourselves, but I guess from what I understand, we can be really healthy, and we could be a carrier for this little bug that hangs onto things. I think that's why they're encouraging us to wash our hands and all that, get the bug down the drain. So this year is a 4-year. It's about being a master and about manifesting and that sort of thing. So if you're going to be responsible with your freedom, what would a master do? And how would you manifest your new direction in life? How would you pivot your freedom to be responsible?
Right. And since things are opening up just a little bit, we have a chance to connect with our friends, our families, our neighborhoods again, you know, our relationships. But again, like you're saying, there's going to be a pivot. It's not going to look the same, but we can still help each other out. And there are a lot of things going on right now that people have changed up just a little bit, you know, like that pivot. And you were just telling me before we started that you even have 3 types of pivots that you could look at stuff and you could see it happening. So what were those 3 again?
Well, from what I've been working with guiding people through this pandemic with their careers and their personal life, people seem to be pivoting in 3 different stages. First stage is they're tweaking things a little bit. They're tweaking their time with their family and friends. They're tweaking the family dinners a little bit. They're tweaking their work-life balance a little bit. So they're starting to see some growth and opportunities with that. The second stage I see is a twist. And a twist seems to be a little more aggressive, to the point where that pattern I had, or that program that's been running in my life for the last several years, needs more than a tweak. It needs to be twisted. So think of a dial like the volume on your radio, or your, I guess we even have those on our TVs now, more like an arrow, but turn the volume up or turn the volume down. It's got to be twisted a little bit. And then the last one is a complete turn. That's like you turn the channel. The old way is not working, so you've got to do a 90-degree or 180-degree turn. And that seems to be the most challenging, at least in my life and the Muse's life. We have been such people persons, and doing our classes live, and we had to do the turn. We tried tweaking and we tried twisting, but turning seems to be for what we need. And that's where you keep what you have, you tweak it, you twist it, and you turn in a new direction. So those are the three stages I'm observing, and I kind of like the 3 T's of pivoting.
Yes, yes, I can see that. I can see it happen. Like the tweaking part, it is just a little thing, like people showing their gratitude. Like for all the essential workers that are out there, people are doing their best to show them how they're appreciated, whether it's like pulling up all the police vehicles in front of the hospital and flashing the lights,
Yeah.
and that's going above and beyond, but it's not huge. It's not too weird, so to speak, and it's doable. So just little things, warm people's hearts. That's awesome. And that quarter turn, your little twist piece, people who want to visit their family who are elderly and in assisted living or nursing homes, thank goodness there are windows in the room, so you can stand outside and then visit through the window.
Yes, and as I've been watching more and more of those, as you know, the Muse has a band, and right now they're on lockdown. They can't go in those homes, but I was thinking about it as we were talking earlier today. What if they set up their band in the yard or the parking lot, and everybody could come to the window and look out the window and listen to the music? So yeah,
Yes.
a little bit of a twist.
That sounds exciting. When you guys do that, make a video and I'll put it on one of our podcasts, okay?
All right. Well, that just popped in this morning, so I have to convince a bunch
Yay.
of people to do that.
Well, good weather and opportunity. That'll
Yeah.
come up. So, when we're looking at this, there's a lot of different ways, you could tweak things and twist things and throw in those relationships. Like in my life, I'm helping my son and the 3 other families in his building start a community garden for their building. Because I've grown all sorts of gardens.
Yeah, it's popular thought. Gardening has become more than just a hobby. It's like, hey, we won't have to go to the store if we have our own garden.
Right. And that helps, where it came from, and it's organic, and it was something that exactly who pulled the weeds and who harvested it. It was you, right?
Yes.
And,
Well, I know one thing I've been working on with twisting and tweaking is, I'm an advocate of meditation. And most, if not all of the people I work with, I have them at least understanding meditation is beneficial. So this last 30 days, since the intensity of this confinement or lockdown has started to make people go a little bonkers from being in the energy of May about freedom, I've asked them to amp up their meditation to twice a day. Big turn. And oh my gosh, the benefits.
yes.
They're calmer, they sleep better, they have more clear thoughts. They're actually accepting that if they turn their attitude and tweak their schedule, they can be happier.
Yes, it's amazing how much just a little bit more sleep does.
Oh,
And if you're not stressed out before you go to sleep, you can sleep better.
oh, yes. Yeah, you got to shut that busy mind off so you can get some rest. And I tell
Hmm.
you, with the full moon and these planets that have been messing with us that the astrologers talk about every week, it's crazy. And mentioning that, I remember reading this morning, Maria Shah says, this is relationship week, actually for a couple more weeks. So old relationships may show up again. Relationships that have been so-so may get inspired. And it's so interesting in week 20, they talk about that because that's a numerology energy. So it's more than a coincidence how all these numbers and planets come together to give us information.
Yes, and we are in the flow whether we know it or not.
We are, or whether we like it or not.
Right, right. Well, one of my favorite sayings is you can't control control. You try
There's
to
no
do
way.
that, you'll just end up in bed not going anywhere.
You know, the problem with that, um, I guess, energy or that situation you're trying to control, it has no handles. There's no place to grab it.
Mm-mm.
So,
Yes, that gets tricky. So let's say we're looking at what we've got, right? Well, Wes, what am I going to tweak? What am I going to turn? What am I going to twist? Where do I even start? Where is this pivot, right? I feel the stress, of freedom versus responsibility. You're like, all right, the doors are opening, but should I go through, right? So I'm thinking it might be time for a really good question.
that sounds like a intro to magic to me.
Yes, and this comes up, I'm going to show everybody on the screen here, but this is the Passion Quest deck that Lori and Wes created a while ago,
Yeah.
2004, I believe. And it's just been a very fun way to interpret your intuition and get you, getting you to look at things in a new light. And you find the answers inside yourself. The card doesn't have the answer, you do. And it's how you interpret it. So for a good question for these cards, Wes and I put our heads together and we came up with one. And this is for a journal page, by the way. Freebie alert.
Freebie alert. Hello.
Yep.
And
So
if there's a freebie, you better pay attention because this is a twist or a turn or a pivot of major concern for you this week.
yes, and it can make all the difference. And it's something to journal about. So there'll be a journal page and sign up for the newsletter so you can get the journal pages.
Yes.
Question is, what do I need to know about my pivot point between freedom and responsibility during COVID-19 week 20? Sound about right?
It's a good question because that's the energy we're in now. Now that we're free, what responsibility do we need to look at for ourselves and others?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good question. And if you can find the answer in there, we can help people pivot.
Yes. So we're going to pull 3 cards.
Okay.
First one is the environment, the circumstances. What kind of energy are you working with right now? What do you have to build with?
That's
And then
for all of us.
that's for everybody. So I pulled these cards for everybody.
Mindset of where we're at with relationships and responsibilities. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the second part is action. What kind of action do you want to be taking in those circumstances to find out more about your pivot? What should you listen for, look for, flavor that action, right?
Right. There's your pivot. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's the pivot. And then the third one is a potential result. So if you are standing in that space of circumstance, and you take that action, that pivot, what could be a potential result, right?
Yep.
So let's go ahead and pull. So the first one, circumstance, Analyzing information.
Oh, a research card.
Research card. A
And it's
north card.
pointing north. Oh my gosh. All right.
New stuff.
So that totally makes sense because all the data that's out there, we try to analyze it, and we're being told that most of it's not true anyway. So you have to analyze the data, that's being a good, responsible person. And because it's a North card, you want to listen to that inner spirit, to that inner voice, your intuition. So those are the two things that you've got to do if you're going to make a pivot. You got to know internally where you're going to pivot and externally where you want to pivot.
Also, you could see it as learning something new too. Analyzing information, you're looking for that gold nugget in all the stuff that you're doing.
Yep.
So that was good. Excellent. I made a note of that.
Okay.
So what kind of action? So this one, enjoying the best in life.
Ooh, an inspiration card.
Inspiration. And that's
east facing. So it looks like the pivot point is trying something new, getting excited, wanting to share whatever you find with someone else. So in most of the cases I see, our mindset, after it's done analyzing, needs to explore something new if you're going to pivot. It's hard to pivot if you got a fixed mindset. So if you pivot and get excited about something, that's what the inspiration card is. You keep pivoting and twisting and turning and tweaking until you find that sweet spot of, yes, there's something that makes sense.
Yeah, it's your joy meter that goes up. It's like, oh, okay, it's past, okay to good, right? We always tease
up to good. Yeah.
Up to good yet.
Yes.
Very picky inspiration person.
If you're smiling, that means your joy meter's hitting the good mark.
Yes. And you want to be in that happy space. You don't need to settle.
Right.
You're worth it. You're worth the good stuff.
Yeah.
So look for what's best for you, right?
And because when you get in that kind of a mindset, you explore new opportunities, and then you get excited about, oh, I could do this and this and this.
All right. So what happens if you find something you really love? You say, yep, that's it. Solving problems practically.
Look at that.
The West card.
The West card. And that's a form card, and that's about taking a really good idea and boxing it up so you can use it, putting it into a format, building something. So that makes total sense, because what Muse and I are doing is pivoting our work, and we're reboxing it up into online programs. How would that affect your life now that you're doing your online I See Hope message to the world?
Yes, this one, of course, when you pull the cards, you go, oh, that's great for Lorian West. That's great for, my son's family. That's, all these things. And then you go, wait a minute. You come back to yourself and you go, oh, yeah, this is about what I'm doing right now. Because when you start up a new podcast and you're setting up your digital business portfolio, like I help people do all the time, you try to dial it in, how do you do that quarter turn or the tweak to really get your show heard.
Right.
And when I look at all the information, thankfully with digital business, you get numbers that come back. It's like, okay, how many listeners? Where did they come from? Names in an email list, people who signed up for the freebies, clicks, all those things. And, my dial has just gone off the baseline. I'm just getting started. I'm going, I need to get this up because people aren't finding me. So how do I do that? So that's where analyzing information kind of pointed when, I need to pivot.
Okay.
And this is all about cross promotion. So I need people with a list of people that I can cross promote with so that we see each other, right? And we go, oh, yes, let's get together. So I need more cross promotion. So I need to go out and find new relationships, right? New people to enjoy that already have a website, already have the programs to offer, already have followers and have email lists. Instead of people, you know, of course, it's great to have people I think are interesting, but to promote the show, I really need new relationships.
Well, I think you're onto something, because those of us who have experienced the magic of my office here in New Hope know that when we're onto something, the spirit world acknowledges an aha by blinking the lights. And as you were talking, these lights were flashing like the 4th of July fireworks. Hang in there, you're onto something.
Yay. And you know that, you know, solving problems practically is like, okay, that means I can do this, this, and this. Send an email, you know, find people I would love to talk to, send them a personal note. And then once they're on my show, I get a chance to talk to them a little bit before and a little bit after. And I'm there to help them be seen too by an audience they may or may not already have, right? That's the cross promotion piece.
Yeah.
And I can help them with their technology if they need it.
Well, and the people that are in this personal development, spiritual awakening world, the win-win world, oftentimes they don't know how to get out to the public. And if you have a way, that would be magic happening, because they get to meet you and you get to take them to the world. So yeah, that's a biggie for people that want to help each other become more aware spiritually and actually more productive in their career.
Yes. So that will solve both problems practically, mine and my guests.
Yeah, I
Yay.
know.
And hopefully all the listeners out there will pick up some nuggets too about how they can empower positive change in their lives and solve problems practically, right?
Yes. So the key is for all of us to remember there's the gonna be's and the wannabes. And I think it's good that you identify the gonna be's that are all set to take their message to the world. And they are the ones that are going to want to be on your show.
Yes. And I think people want to hear about them too.
Well, they do, because we're all pivoting. We're all tweaking. We're all turning. And I'll tell you, there's so many ways for us to find our answers. These cards, our destiny cards, are amazing. The tarot cards, any of these kind of exterior messages help us trigger our intuitive self. And our intuitive self waits all day to find a way to get the message to our ears instead of just in our dreams. So yeah, finding ways to use like our quest deck, tarot cards. There's lots of different ways. I Ching is one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you know, the internal, your heart that follows you everywhere, hopefully,
yeah.
that your feelings are part of that intuition hit. You feel stuff. Your intuition comes through your feelings a lot of times. So if you're self-aware and you're paying attention to that, then when you run into something like a song on the radio that speaks to you, right? That's your intuition going, pay attention. This is a message for you.
Yep. Songs, lights flashing, birds sitting outside of your windows singing their little hearts out. All those things are things that are the spirit world and the intuitive world trying to get our ears open without criticism.
Right. So that means all we have to do is ask, right?
That's the biggie. Yep. Ask and receive. That's about the responsibility and the freedom. We have the freedom to go do what we want whenever we want, because that's what we were promised in our Constitution. However, freedom is an earned right, not a deserving.
Yes.
So this particular practice of being responsible to find your own answers within is a biggie.
Mm-hmm. And if you're doing your freedom responsibly, you're thinking of other people and the bigger picture at the same time. So that's how we can help each other, because we're all in this together.
Yes.
How can we take that little freedom and say, well, if I'm allowed out of the house now and it's less than 10 people in Minnesota, I can go help do a garden. For my friends who just want the manager and the designer, they'll do all the labor. I just need to, be the cheerleader and help them be encouraged to do something new and say, oh yeah, that's how you do this. No, that is not a weed. That is an onion. Don't touch it.
Do we wear masks when we're being socially connected 6 feet apart with less than 10 people?
Well, the masks part, that is something that is a really good idea because you don't know.
Right.
But if you're further than 6 feet away, it's less of an issue. But like if you're in a store, you're bumping into each other.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
not to mention, they are going to become a fashion statement if they haven't already.
And they're going to be a collector item someday.
I will hope for that. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, those of us who are still alive will collect them. And remember, that was back in the not so good old days.
Well, I saw something on TV. It was a commercial, kind of like a public service announcement. This gal just turned 100, and she was a 1920s influenza pandemic baby.
Oh.
And her message was to all the new moms saying, you'll get through this. You will live through this. It will pass, and it's okay, because she made it through in 1920.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow. So with your card draw and your insights that you got today, are you ready to send the message out to the world that you're looking for experts who want to share many different ways to find hope?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
And I think what I'm going to do is that'll be my campaign for Facebook ads and group chats and stuff like that. I can go ask all my buddies in my network, who do they know that would love to be on a podcast show?
Well, what would a person have to do to be qualified to be on that show of yours? Because I know when I've been asked to be on other shows, I needed to have a certain amount of followers in my contact list, and some of the more global shows, which I guess yours could be, if we could get the people in the other countries to know about it, but they wanted like 2,000-3,000 worth of followers in my list, which I had no problem showing them that I have. But that was one of the things that qualified me to be on a show like that. So are you going to do something like that?
Yes. Part of this is it works best in cross promotion if both groups have the digital business pieces, which is a website, social media connections, and a program to offer. So something that people can do online, especially during COVID, a program that they can offer to people that is empowering positive change. Okay. And that's one of the requirements for this show, is that you know how to spin things in a positive way. There are shows for conspiracies. You can go listen to those, but this one's about positivity. And then also, self-development. Do you have something that will help people, inspire them, help them grow, give them hope? So it's message, it's a program. They have to have a website and social media so you can cross promote. Because when I promote the show, I'm promoting them on the show. So they will take the art and the words and then drop it into their social media and share it to their networks. So number of followers, I would say, a really concentrated core group of 500 or more is perfect for this. And a larger group, there'll probably be like a subgroup of about 500 to 1,000 who would be interested in this, and go from there. And it's also who's ready to listen.
Yeah, maybe you could do that on one of your freebies, put a entry offer in there to be on the show so that people could actually fill it in and send it in.
Sure. I will put a sample, because that's something that if you have your own show as a podcaster, what do you say? What kind of script do you use to invite someone, right?
Okay.
And it's almost, you need to promote yourself at the same time to these, authors and public speakers, because their time is precious too. They're trying to cherry pick what's going to be best for them.
Yep. Okay.
So all good ideas. Those are good twists, turns, and tweaks.
And that's what this is about this month. And it's about relationships. And the more people that get on your show, the more people that can be helped. And that's a great relationship builder program.
Yes. And I have found the most fun working with people in the holistic communities and inspiration and personal development as a subset of all digital business owners. I've worked with all kinds, but this group is the most heartfelt, and they really connect with their people, and just a little bit of help really changes things a lot for them, so they can reach more people and it's not as difficult for them.
And that's a really good niche for you to have, because people looking for business solutions, there's plenty of those on LinkedIn, and all the other programs, but that niche where spirited business join forces, that's a powerful spot.
I think so. And I want to empower those people so they can bring more of what they do to the world.
Yes. All right. Well, I think we've done a lot of work this week to get people excited about being in your program, and also making everyone aware that you do have some responsibility with this freedom of the doors are open. Be mindful.
Yes. Well, there is hope. The doors are opening. Yay.
Yeah.
And
That's good. I felt good this morning out walking in my yard, smelling the blossoms from my pear tree and the blossoms from my lilac bushes. And there's a whole bunch of pretty little plants, ground cover plants, the blue ones. And I'm not sure what they are. Can't remember it. But it felt so alive this morning. I think opening up the gates to help people get out of the house is important. Spring is bursting with color and fragrance. So I know for people that have allergies like you do, you have to enjoy all of that from inside the window. But those of us who are farm kids, we go out and roll in the dirt and suck up the allergies.
That's right. Well, as soon as the trees are done, I'll be right out there with you.
Okay.
And, the empowering positive change here is all about the journaling, the meditating, the practice that you presented before, the mindset and pivoting practice.
Yeah, that mindset pivoter, you might want to throw that in there again, because each week I see when you looked at your data, we're gaining more and more people. So we don't want to leave anybody out. So are those programs that you're doing on a list somewhere they could go back and listen? Yes.
Oh, okay. They're on my YouTube channel, and they're also, every episode is a blog post on iseehope.world.
So what's your YouTube channel?
It's Lori Lorenz, and I will post that too.
Yeah, we have to be able to find you. Just because you know how to get there doesn't help us.
Well, I will help you, Wes. All you have to do is ask, so thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's a wonderful, worth of information. Thank you so much for being on the show today, and I really appreciate everyone who's listening. And hopefully we brought positive change to people's lives.
Yes, and spread the word. They could be on this show too.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Wes.
Okay, take care.
You have been listening to the I See Hope podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Visit us online at iseehope.world, where you can subscribe to our podcast, our newsletter, read blog articles, and so much more.